15 degrees, you can see your breath. Out here in the lake effect, breaking tables like it's poetry. Where else would you rather be? Pinto, Ron, Elvis, and the lay poncho. The members that you need to know. 'Cause once you out here now, your family. Where else would you rather be? Where else would you rather be?
Welcome into the Nickel City Crew. I am your host, Rob Crippen. Please like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Nickel City Crew. This episode, along with all of our episodes, are presented by Crippen Legacy Entertainment here on Spreaker and StreamYard. We're so glad that you're joining us for some of your Buffalo Bills and NFL content again today. And as always, these are my Bills thoughts said out loud.
It's a vibe so ridiculous. Since 12 plus 83 was 6. The shout rocking like a symphony. Where else would you rather be?
All right, let's get straight to it. Really excited for tonight's episode, as I always am. It's funny, we talked about it last week, how it's a week-to-week league. And last week we got a little bit more of a humble pie slice, but it was in a different form and just a really oddly finishing game. And we'll go over all of that type of stuff. And it just reminds you once again that, you never want to count your chickens before they hatch. Joining me tonight, as always, riding shotgun, my co-host, Adam Dump Truck Rupsick. Check him out on Instagram and Twitter at Adam Rupsick, RUPCZYK. Holla at the crew, DT. I mean, we knew that it was going to be a big game there down in H-Town, and it didn't disappoint. But boy, it ended a little bit too similarly than some of us would like to admit, for sure.
Rob, what's up, man? Happy Friday night, Nickel City
TGIF.
Crew. We're out here, TGIF. The last week I said it was good that the show was on Friday. Let me settle down a little, get into the bounce back Texans game. This week, I don't want to repeat myself, but I'm happy it's on Friday. I'm kind of got that positivity looming again for next week, but we're a day later with a Monday night game. So we're just like the Bills practice schedule. Everything moves back a day, and we get it rocking. So a lot to get into tonight. Always excited to be here, Rob, as always. Yeah. Nickel City Crew, let's get it cracking, man.
Yeah, click clack, we back. It's funny because when I thought about my notes, and I didn't even share notes with you this week, if you noticed, DT, because my brain's been all over the place. The anger that I felt initially after the game was because of the past. And sometimes when you're emotional, you make different comments, or you'll make different things. And so some of my notes from the beginning were just crazy. So I was like, well, by the time I was going to send them to you, I was like, you know what? It's not that I don't feel that way anymore, but like you just spoke to, that I had a chance to finally calm down a little bit about it. Now we've got to go back to the scene of crime before we can shift to Monday night. And DT, as everybody knows, Nickel City Crew, Bills Mafia, Bills lose 23-20 in a nail biter to the Houston Texans. But again, it was the fashion in which we lost that was the most frustrating part for me, DT, especially on Sunday in the thick of it, because of the fact that it reminded me of the past and some of the mistakes that seem to be cropping up again when it comes to McDermott, when it comes to clock management, some of the decisions that he makes and different things like that. Now, as the week progressed, I realized that I have to lay a little bit more blame at 17's feet. And I know that makes a lot of members of the Mafia uncomfortable as well, whether he was concussed, whether he was just not feeling well. Doesn't matter. He didn't get even hurt until I think it was fourth quarter. A lot of bad decisions before that, what I mean, in respects to his game and the way that he was throwing the ball. And then obviously the receivers. We talk about everybody eats, and we talk about how we didn't really buy it. And then obviously reared its ugly head last week with Shakir being out. But one of the things that I thought of, DT, and I want you to speak to it, is that if Shakir means that much to the offense's passing game, that's not really a good sign either, because of the fact that if you're relying on one guy like that, I thought it was everybody eats. Last week, I think it was just so many different things together, DT, that really made this a clusterfuck of a game. It was pretty bad when the clock hit triple zeros.
Well, you look at the Ravens game, and it got beat up in all phases of that game. Offense, sure. Defense, the trenches, special teams, literally every aspect you got beat up. This week, the score was a lot closer, obviously, but I think it was a very similar mantra as the week before. They got bullied kind of in all directions out there on that field. The defense did come back in the second half and held their own and come up with a couple big crucial turnovers. And I mean, Sean McDermott obviously has his hands on that, and Bobby Babich have their hands on that to kind of lock down and get some plays that to happen. But realistically, the ball bounces, the luck bounces. Our luck could have bounced to win that game, but Terrell Bernard covering two guys and getting the interception was luck. The fourth down play where we stop him on fourth down is luck, and then obviously the fumble to get it at the 10-yard line with a chance to go up or tie the game had to bounce our way for luck. So we did get breaks in that game just to get back in it, right? So I don't want to be super negative on that part, but the Ravens game was a lot different in score, but I think we got beat up all around the field in a similar fashion on Sunday in Houston, Rob. And that's kind of the concerning thing as we go into, only week 5. We got a lot of game left, a lot of wins that we could get kind of coming into the Rock, but we need to really, really make it happen. So Khalil Shakir is he the number one? It looks
Clearly.
like it, right?
Yeah, he's got the security blanket.
A guy who wasn't on the field really at all his rookie year, kind of emerged, but had extremely low snap counts, going into last year. And then so people thought he was going to have a better breakout year, but with 1 week with him out of the lineup, he's the reason. I don't know if you can say that, right? So a lot of things to dig into, a lot of things to digest here, but we got beat up, I think, just as much as the Ravens game on Sunday. The score kind of maybe overshadowed that, but I think this team's got to look at it like this.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you said that. I think that the defense played better, and even there were some pockets in the Baltimore game, obviously second half, where they make those 2 stops in the third quarter before that fake pass, where you could say that the defense was bowing up and starting to play a little bit better. Last week, I thought that they played pretty well. I don't have any really qualms or problems with the defense last week. I think it's just the inconsistency of the offense in respects to this whole everybody eats thing. It was highlighted last week, DT. They were not getting open, those wide receivers. There was no separation that was being created. I think that they did metrics on it throughout the week. If you listen to WGR, they've been talking about how I think it was like 4th. It was like 4th lowest in the league in respects to separation for those wide receivers that created on Sunday. And then what it did was it compounded by the fact that, Josh really wasn't that good. And I'm not talking, I'm talking injury aside. And we can get into that little drama, before we transition to the Jets. But, to be honest, he wasn't that good all day long. I mean, even leading up to that last drive where they've got that decision where they decided, to pass 3 times in a row. He's 9 of 27, DT. When have we ever seen Josh Allen play that? I think that I can unequivocally say that was the worst Josh Allen game that I've ever seen him play in the Josh Allen era. And I'll take it even under the Green Bay performance, and that was like his rookie year when we scored like 10 points or something like that against Aaron Rodgers in Lambeau. It was really bad, DT, and he was spraying the ball all over the field. Now he was hurried. He was under duress a lot more. The offensive line obviously holds a little bit of weight and responsibility with that as well, but it was a situation where he never got comfortable. The pockets never seemed to be comfortable for him, and even when he was scrambling out, there was just nothing there. If you look at it, even all 22, there was just nothing there, DT, and I heard a lot of people talk about trust this weekend, and you could tell that their chemistry is not there and that Josh doesn't trust those guys. And then they were pointing to Shakir not being there. But, man, like you said, week 5, you've had all of preseason and training camp, mini camp. That's just not good enough for me in respects to an excuse. But it does look like that might be the case, that Josh is just not comfortable with these guys yet. And I don't necessarily know where to feel about that, because it's been a while now. They've been working together for a minute.
Lack of preparation, lack of preparation when it comes to that. And, it goes back to our offseason conversations of, what was the plan? What was the ace up the sleeve? And I think we were really kind of putting all the eggs in the basket of, 17 will figure it out. 17 will figure it out. And, he has, and I believe he will this season for sure. But, it's not just 17, it's any quarterback in this league. It's a tempo and momentum game, right? And you saw it in the first 3 games of the year when 1-7 gets in that rhythm and gets in that tempo, he's borderline unstoppable. I mean, we can all agree with that. When he's on, he's borderline unstoppable. When he's off, he has struggled to get back into it. And with this roster, with this team, we put that on him this year. Hey, there's going to be some down and out times, and it's up to you to get us back into it. So,
Right.
It's like, your brother, right? If you can talk shit to your brother, but if somebody else is talking shit about your brother, you're going to be pissed off.
It's a problem, yeah.
And I agree in that statement. Anybody talking shit about Josh Allen this week, I'm going to be the first one to defend him. But I think we can get critical tonight on Nickel City Crew of 1-7. I mean, this is not the rookie anymore. The year 7, going into a team that you have to be the alpha, you have to be the leader. And granted, everything was not his fault on Sunday by any means.
Sure.
But 9 for 30, it falls at your feet a little bit. 9 for 30. A quarterback hasn't had that bad of a completion percentage in 12 years.
Yeah.
So it's not just the worst game of his pro career. It's the worst game of an NFL quarterback in literally since we were kicking it. I was kicking it in college, So this is a big deal in an alarming rate of we're chanting MVP on Monday Night Football against the Jaguars, and then back-to-back games of being a bottom-tier quarterback in the league. And obviously, nobody thinks he's a bottom-tier quarterback in the league, but the statistics and the performance were not even bottom-tier. We're like dead last in yards, and other than Bo Nix, who in a brain game with 60 yards, and they still got the win there. So
right,
a lot of it comes to the feet, and you talk about the late game decisions and things of that nature. Well, if it is Joe Brady or Sean McDermott kind of mismanaging that game, that's Josh Allen. This is where I'm relying on you to make a change, to realize game management and game situation, to go out there and make the plays you need to make. When they get the fumble on the 10-yard line with a chance to take the lead or tie
that's
it.
That's right after Josh gets hurt. So he has to sit out that first down.
So I give him a pass there. I'll give him a pass there. Kind of maybe came out discombobulated, even whatever it was. Wasn't ready, but threw a dime to James Cook on the sideline. He just didn't come out with it, and that would have been, first and goal from the 5. But I'll give the pass there. What I don't give a pass on is on the 2-yard line. When we have to, it's been talked about all week. Why do we shot play it 3 times? Whatever. If we ran the ball 3 times, they got 3 timeouts. It's going to be pretty much the same result if we ran the ball 3 times. So maybe. But I'm not like, I don't mind the first down shot play, whatever. But then second down comes around, and if that play call is another shot play, that's where 1-7 has to step in and say, no, like, we need to get this first down, whatever means necessary. And I'm not making excuses for the guy, but the hand has got to be broken, Rob. Right? Something's wrong with that hand. He's a completely different runner of the football with that glove on. The Josh Allen of old, even in these game on Sunday and the Ravens game, is cutting it up and getting a few of those first downs. When they punt, what was it, 7 out of 8 possessions they punted in the first half. Eventually, he says, screw this. I need to get to the sticks and get the first down and get the tempo going, because the tempo is where I'm most comfortable.
Yeah, he doesn't want to get a hit now. You can tell that.
Exactly. So on the whatever the play call was, if he was getting down from Joe Brady that to go up to Mac Hollins or whoever the hell he's throwing to deep there, first down, whatever. Second down, you need. This is where I need my 7th-year quarterback to step up and game awareness and know what they have to do to get that first down. So, I guess all week I was saying, like, I guess the excuse was maybe he was concussed because he wasn't thinking clearly in that situation. If he wasn't concussed, then it is his fault for doing that. So I am critical of the fact of, you have to have the game awareness to get to the sticks, to run out that clock, to get into overtime and see where it goes.
Right.
And
I agree.
I'm going to need a lot more of that this season. It's going to be the only way we survive. This team isn't going to lift you up as much as it has in previous years. So you have to be the guy to do that. You have to call the audible at the line. You have to tuck it and do whatever, his miraculous 3rd down runs he always does.
Right.
Let's see that again. And, so I'm critical in the fact of he's got to do more. We've been asking him to do more. Now he has to do more. And it doesn't have to be all game, but in game situations, you can't go 9 for 30 when you're punting 7 out of 8 possessions.
Yeah.
You got to find a way to get a first down and will your team back into it, because they obviously follow you.
Yeah. And one of the problems that I had with the entire sequence, I had many problems with it, but one of the problems that I had was that, even on that second down that you're talking about, I would have preferred. What I said was I would have preferred to run the ball 3 times. I understand. I've said it on Twitter. You know what I mean? I understand what you're saying, that the clock and stuff like that. The only difference is that they have 0 timeouts. So because of that, I think that they needed almost every second that they had to get back into range, and that included a Robert Woods, good, punt return. So
yeah.
Because of that, like I would have just ran the ball and tried to find a way to make them use their timeouts. And everybody completely negates, or at least on Twitter space, they completely negate the fact that you could possibly get a first down. Like it's not just, signed, sealed, delivered that you don't get one. So I would have liked to see the run. The problem with the pass on second down is that because Keon Coleman, as we both know, made a great play on that first play. That's a pass interference. The only reason that Houston declines it is because we're backed up, so they just want the game to be over with and us to lose a down. The problem is that I thought that there were open options with Kincaid and Coleman on underneath routes where I do need them to think. Now, I'm not going to make this whole episode about was Josh Allen concussed or whatever the case may be. My thing is that his nature, concussion or not, his nature is aggressive, and he likes to be aggressive and stuff like that. You have to, one of the greatest things about Brian Daboll was that he was able to rein in that stallion a little bit and have him, see the game from a different perspective. There was that turning point was that New England game where he throws all those picks, and then he finally starts to listen to Daboll and really take in his teaching about, not trying to go for the shot play every single play because it always isn't going to be worth it and beneficial to the team. I need him to have some type of situational awareness, or I need Brady to help insulate him in those situations where you're absolutely right, DT. Just get the first down because of the fact that you can take it to overtime and then let the chips fall where they may, because we could win the toss, we could lose the toss. A coin has 2 sides to it. But I was really frustrated when I saw the all 22 and saw that there were options. It wasn't just, that only option was to chuck it downfield to Mac Hollins, which is a horrible idea within itself. But the fact that you had some underneath stuff, and that's the type of stuff where don't tell me all summer that Josh Allen is the elevator man and stuff like that. And he's going to raise, tide raises all boats. High tide raises all boats. And like, he's making decisions like that. Again, I'm not railing on him or anything like that. And I don't know if he was concussed or not, but I do know that his nature anyway is an altered aggressive nature. And I need maybe the coordinator to help him rein himself in a little bit. They do have a chance to talk, DT. They've got a chance to talk for up to 15 seconds left on the clock. Hey, Josh, listen, 17, I need you to be looking. I've got this, and this for you already baked into this play. Make sure we're looking at 86. Make sure we're looking at 0 on this one because, again, we're just trying to move the chains, and then we're going to get this thing into overtime and recalibrate. I just I thought that they were poor decisions. And again, I don't even want to get on Sean McDermott, but I just strictly 17, I thought that they were some decisions where I need him to be either a better decision maker, or I need the people that call the plays, chiefly, Joe Brady to kind of insulate him a little bit. And I just didn't see that at all. Yeah. It almost seemed, especially with Joe Brady's comments the next day, it seemed like he really wasn't apologetic about it. Like, we called the plays that we called, and then him and Sean McDermott were kind of singing different tunes, and it was just a whole weird vibe for the first couple of days this week.
So if you're calling those plays, then that's where 1-7 needs to make the changes and get it done. I mean, it's almost an analogy of like, drowning, and the dock is right there, right? All you got to do is grab on the dock and pull yourself up, and we continue to kick our feet and, splash around in the water, and the dock's right there, right? So it's got to be better. I think 1-7 knows that, hopefully, this is going to be a long year if he doesn't. 9 for 30 is embarrassing. He knows that, literally and the leading MVP candidate, and then probably some of the worst games of his career back to back. So he's proven he's been teachable in his career, but this is teaching almost himself. It's not the coach teaching him something. It's him teaching himself. Like, okay, this is my gig. This is my Cadillac. I need to drive it. I'm not completely worried. I think that hand injury does have a lot to do with it. I think he's obviously been beaten up the last 2 weeks after not getting touched. Basically the week 2 and 3, he's gotten peppered for 2 weeks in a row. Yeah, so absolutely. He's banged up. He's hurting. Who knows what actually is, what hurts on him. And maybe he was just trying to, because it was so bad, he was trying to like, okay, I can do a shot play here, and we score a 90-yard touchdown and win the game, and it erases everything, right?
That's not how the game had been going.
Obviously, the percentage of that, and that's old sugar high-ish Josh, type of vibe. So did it last year in the opening game against the Jets, played 500 with the defense and owned it, and then came back and regrouped and got it done. So completely confident in 1-7 by all means, but it's okay to hold him accountable for that. 9 out of 30 at one point, that's on you, bro. Like that's on you.
That's true. Yeah, I agree with that. And before we transition, to the Monday Night Football, I have to get this off my chest because I've had some spirited Twitter debates and battles and spaces and stuff like that this past week. One of the things that I have a problem with Sean McDermott is that he's always, what's the way that I want to put this? If he's the CEO, okay, and he's the boss, that means that he's Bobby's boss, and that means that he's Joe's boss. One of the things that made me start to look at him differently, and I'll be honest, I'll raise my hand and cop to it, that I have never liked him since 13 seconds. Now, I know that all Bills fans are not that way. I know that all Bills Mafia doesn't share in that sentiment. However, I started to look at him sideways after 13 seconds because it was such a glorious blunder that I just was never able to forgive him, because the nightmare in the back of my head is that 13 seconds was our best chance. Obviously, nobody in Bills Mafia wants it to be. I don't want it to be. We hope that Josh is very fruitful and we have multiple Lombardis that we could tell our kids about. However, the problem with 13 seconds for me was that I didn't care, DT, if Leslie Frazier called that dumbass defense. It was up to him, Sean McDermott, the CEO, that's Leslie's boss, to step in and say, hey, this is not going to work, or I don't like the way that this looks. We're going to do, X, Y, Z. And what I got met with, DT, on Twitter and different spaces was that, well, no, Sean is more of a delegator, and he's not going to do that. And he empowers his coaches. You know what? F that, man. I'm sorry. That was 13 seconds. That's a chance to go ahead and host the AFC Championship game at home against the Bengals the next week. And who knows how history writes itself after that point in time. So that's not good enough for me. On Sunday, it's not good enough that Joe Brady's the offensive coordinator and he would never do that, and he's not on that side of the ball. Listen, man, if you know that something doesn't sound right, the plays that they're getting ready to call, whether you know offense or not, whether you're a defensive coach or not. I don't like when there's situations where he can step up and be a CEO, I'm the boss, I'm running this shit, and just say, I don't really like, he hears the play call, and no, we don't need to be going that. Like, I don't like that idea. I don't want to pop shot to Mac Hollins on second down. You know what I mean? Or whatever the case may be. Now, to be fair, maybe Joe Brady did tell Josh to look down and look for the check downs, and he just didn't. And we have experienced that with Josh over the years, that sometimes he just doesn't take the easy stuff. So I will be fair in that regard. But I just needed my coach to step up and kind of take control of the situation. I think that's what I'm really looking for. And again, that's why I started the episode the way that I did, because it reminded me of 13 seconds. It reminded me of the past where I've got this coach who is supposedly in charge of everything, and then he's going to stand up at the podium at the end of the game and tell me that it's all on me and all that. Well, then if it's all on you, act like it in the moment. And I just thought like that was just weak in that moment because of the fact that I don't know, man. Just even if you run the ball one time on first down and then decide to take some shots or something, I don't know, just to use some clock. Because who knows? You might break it off for 6 yards. Who knows what the situation is? I don't know. There's just something that doesn't sit right with me because I've seen it too many times in late game situations with this coach. He just makes the wrong decisions.
There's a little hypocrisy with that, right? Because, being critical of damned if you do on both sides there, being critical of Sean McDermott over the years, that Ty Dunn article last year was that he wasn't open, he wasn't delegating. It was his way or the highway. He was old school. It was, everything has to be this is the Sean McDermott show. This is built the culture I'm building. It goes my way. Everything goes through me. Right. So I don't think that he was like, he can maybe hide behind it or whatever the case may be to say like, oh, I delegated it to my coordinators. It was what it was. But that's so you are McDermott there. That's where I'm having the problem with 1-7. I think 1-7 has to be the CEO in that situation and take control of the game out there on the field with whatever's calling when he has the ball. In those situations. But I definitely agree. I don't think by any means, he is a delegating type coach. It seems like the people he's kind of a almost too much of a dick in the fact of it's got to go through me for it to work. And so I don't,
that's why Leslie Frazier's not here anymore.
Exactly,
that's why Brian Daboll's not here anymore.
So if it's a scapegoat to blame it, like, oh, I trust the offense, I trust what Joe Brady called, like it panned to Sean McDermott on the sideline. And I don't know if he was yelling at Brady or if he was yelling at 1-7.
We just need to get the first down.
Get the fucking first down.
Yeah, get the first down.
What are we doing here? So, he knew the game situation. Was it Brady? Was it 1-7? Who knows? But I don't think it was you can argue that, oh, he's delegating to his coordinators. I think that's Bush League. That's not true at all. He controls this team from top to bottom.
Yeah, I agree, and and thank you for giving me a little bit of validation, but again, bringing me back to square one because I do think that a lot of it does lay at our feet of our quarterback, and I think that just makes Bills Mafia uncomfortable in general. That's all. We love him. He's on the cover of Madden and all this other stuff. Our kids, we got buy all these jerseys for the kids and stuff like that, and grown men wearing his jerseys. But it's just a situation where when he plays like this, it's hard to swallow because we expect so much more of him, and he has really raised that bar. Now, as we transition tonight, over 500 people, DT, you see it already watching on all different platforms. We're live tonight on all platforms. We're up on Twitter, so I hope my Twitter gang is out there listening as well, because I argue with those guys like family out there during the week, and it's just crazy. So we really enjoy it. Again, tonight's episode is presented by 26 Shirts here on Buffalo Fanbase, the official Bills Mafia Podcast Network that DT and I simulcast on. Head on over to 26shirts.com. Salute to the Godfather, Del Reed. He's got a great site over there with great content creators coming up with some cool t-shirts. Support them, please. They're cheap, and they all support a great cause. Portion of the proceeds go to a great cause. Head on over to 26shirts.com for all of your latest Buffalo Bills, Sabres, and Buffalo City themed t-shirts. DT, as we transition, you lick your wounds, and you just kind of figure it out, and you're trying to come up with answers, and that's kind of what the week works like. Then it's funny because I'm sitting at work, and I'm on ESPN, and I'm always on ESPN at work, and I'm checking out NFL, and I refresh, and all of a sudden I see that red breaking news, and I'm like, oh shit, they fired Saleh. And I'm like, wait a minute. I was like, his defense is like one of the best defenses in the league. His defenses have been one of the best defenses in the league the entire tenure he's been there. And I'm like, man, that dude, Aaron Rodgers, is something else, man. Like, I'm like, that dude is he is something else. Doesn't talk to us. I mean, I don't care about personal life, but it just kind of sometimes tells you a little bit about a man, or tells you something about his character. Doesn't talk with his family, has a horrible relationship. I saw his brother on college football on Saturday. I know that they don't talk at all. That's long been documented. I know he doesn't talk to his family or something like that. He's always running through women and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, this dude is shady as hell. And it was funny because the Jets now, I don't really know what to think. Todd Downing gets promoted to play caller yesterday. So he had some ineffective offenses in Tennessee. So I don't know really what that's going to do, but I know Aaron Rodgers wasn't going to let Nathaniel Hackett get fired because that's his boy. And like, he's running shit over there at one Jets drive. DT, talk to me about the coach's bump, because I know that it's a real thing. And I know a lot of times when coaches get fired, the players play more inspired and stuff like that. Now, I think it actually turns out that they played it, and it was like 16-13 or something. So it's like right around 500 for a win immediately after your coach is fired. But I do think that they'll play inspired football on Monday night. It's just interesting because it seems like this is a team in turmoil right now. They don't know which way is up. And I am having a hard time, envisioning a fact that the Bills could lose. And I know we'll get to the injuries in here in a moment, but man, I just can't picture us going to the Meadowlands with this team all in a cluster, and losing. I just don't see it, man. I'm sorry, man. This team they're reeling right now for sure.
R.I.P. Robert Saleh. I mean, that was and
that was cold-blooded. Rick James, cold-blooded.
Aaron Rodgers coming out on McAfee going, it's not just a business. This man's got a family.
Talking about his 7 kids.
Bro, yeah, you don't talk to your family.
Said his son, said his son was throwing footballs for him.
This dude never had a quarterback, and defense was always top tier. He never had a quarterback until this year, and they're 2-3. Okay. But they're one game. If they beat the Bills on Monday, they're leading the AFC East, with an easy schedule ahead of them. So this wasn't a mid-season decision. What's the Jets owner? What's his name? Woody
Johnson, Ambassador
Woody
Johnson.
Didn't even fire Adam Gase in the middle of the season. He didn't even fire Adam Gase in the middle of the season. That was one of the worst teams of all time there, with that.
Yeah.
So Aaron Rodgers got his handprints all over this. I love him feeding into that villain, persona, and saying he's not, and then wondering why everybody talks shit about him. But the reality of it is, the bump, whatever. I'm over the bump.
I thought it was like 16-13.
Last year the Bills went and played the Chargers the game after they fired their coach. Right, it was a tough game. Right. We had to do everything to win that game, and I don't know if it was from the coach's bump or whatever the BS is, but Vegas gets Antonio Pierce, and they beat the brakes off somebody. Well, I think it was the Chargers to get their coach fired.
They had like 70 points or whatever it was, or 60 points, yeah.
And then that got their coach fired. Then the Bills played the Chargers and barely snuck through. So I'm not buying into any of that hype. It's the NFL. Okay. It's the big leagues. This is for first place in the division. So screw a coach bump. If we're we're moving to second in the division for a coach bump, we don't deserve to be in first.
That's
Screw
true.
that, right?
That's
so
true.
I didn't think Robert Saleh was great, but I don't think he deserved to be fired in this.
It was just interesting,
season, whatever it is.
Yeah.
The fact of it is, the Jets defense is good. They always will be. With this core in there, Aaron Rodgers is old, man. Is old. He's showing it. He can still make throws. But London, was a tough look for him. He got beat up, he got bruised around, and he's not going to be able to be as mobile as he needs to be, I think, to beat this team. So I agree. Screw this coach bump. And if you're the Buffalo Bills, you can't look at anything like that. This is a division game that is, I hate saying must win this early in the season, but
I know,
let's get
but
a
it
must
is a
win
big one.
and erase these last 2 weeks, and move forward and put this coach bump thing to rest. That's bullshit.
I like it. It's funny because I don't think that he was a great coach or anything like that, but I do think that, it was just, he just didn't get a fair shake in respects to the fact that he didn't have a quarterback. But, if you have the record that he had, then obviously it's never going to be a situation where you should feel too confident in your job security for sure. 20-32, whatever he was. Now, as we transition in respects to these injuries, DT, it's concerning, to be completely honest. It is concerning. And I think it's more concerning, like what I talked about earlier in the show, DT, is that it seems like Khalil Shakir means a shit ton to this offense. And if that's the case, I don't even know if he's going to be out there. I don't know if he's going to, I don't even know if he's going to be healthy. What happened in the Baltimore game when he tried to come back is that, he didn't really look that great. You know what I mean? And he was in a situation where he was logging around and trying to gut through it. But other than that long touchdown, which was a broken play to Shakir, it really didn't work out that well for him, in that spot duty. So he's been banged up. We felt it last week on the offensive side of the football, DT. I don't know what to think of this in respects to this, but you look down this injury report. We'll go with the positives first. The positive is that, Josh Allen officially, the NFLPA and the NFL come out with a joint statement, which does not scream cover up at all. It does not, and that's fine. I know I'm being a cynic or whatever the case may be, but I literally argued with so many people on Twitter who were telling me he hurt his chest or he hurt his ankle. And I'm like, they don't give out smelling salts for fucking hurting your ankle. I don't know what else to tell you guys. His head bounced like a basketball. I'm like, okay. And then everybody's reminding everybody that they're not doctors. So I get it. No problem. Josh Allen is officially healthy. So take that for whatever you want to take it. Terrell Bernard came back last week, played great. Obviously had that interception as you called luck. I thought it was a little bit of luck plus some really good linebacker play. He's a great player.
But that plays 9 out of 10 times. He's probably not making that pick. Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, we'll go with that. Now, Day Jones, our boy from Penn State, he'll be back this week. It looks like he was a full participant once again. And then Javon Solomon, which we'll need on that edge. He's going to be in there. Obviously, Von Miller is still suspended, so we need Javon Solomon to be back out there. And then it's just unfortunate, DT. Looks like Ed Oliver's going to miss. He hasn't practiced all week. James Cook's going to miss. He hasn't practiced all week, it looks like. And it's a situation where Shakir hasn't practiced all week. So, we have some positives where we're getting a little bit healthier, but not everybody. And it seems like if Shakir is going to mean this much to the offense, then my question is, what are the answers for the best defense in the league, number one against the pass? How are you going to stop them on Monday night? Because they're going to, the blueprint's out now on the Bills. The blueprint's out. That's why I want Devontae Adams. And I know we'll talk about trades to end the show, but the blueprint's out. Press them up, get up on these guys, bump them, get in their faces, play man coverage, and go ahead and forget this 2 high safety shell. We'll play 1 high and force you to beat us. We'll force you to beat us on the outside. Period. And I don't know if they're capable. And that's the only reason why I think they could possibly lose this game. I don't know if the receivers are capable.
Well, it's like the fountain of youth. You got to sacrifice something to get something out of it, right? And we're getting our defensive side of the ball back out of injury, but now our offense is sacrificing and going in, and that's what's looked like is needed the most help, so it's kind of trending in the wrong direction when it comes to that. But Nickel City Crew, Mafia, let's breathe for a second. Remember, we got a Monday night game, okay? So we're a day late. We're a day late on everything. This is a Friday. The Friday practice is tomorrow, okay? So, I'm not in, if you're a fantasy football player and you're looking around who's playing, who's not playing, a Friday practice means a lot for the game, right? If we get a limited or, something going on in Friday practice, you got a lot more enthusiasm and optimism for playing on Sunday. Friday practice is tomorrow on Saturday. Okay. So we're going to, if this is still the same tomorrow, then I'm going to start being worried about James Cook. I'm going to start being worried about Khalil Shakir. Ed Oliver kind of seems like he might not be there. But Khalil Shakir, beginning of the week, McDermott said he was progressing decently. This might be something where we're just going to keep you off it as much as possible, and so you will be ready to go on Monday night. So I'm going to wait till tomorrow. I'm going to wait till Saturday, see this injury report, and then make my kind of concerns from there. James Cook being out is, without Khalil Shakir, James Cook is literally our only offensive weapon.
Yeah, I know.
So that's a tough thing to see.
Keon's a weapon. He's just so young,
Sure.
So that's
but in this current state, he's something to go to. I mean, he ran the ball 20 times on Sunday. I think Ray Davis could be good. I think Ty Johnson has answered the bell when he's been called upon with it this year. Receiving and rushing. So it's not end of the world. I don't think if James Cook's not in there, but it is discouraging. I am confident Khalil Shakir will be in. I think Terrell Bernard was a huge comeback last week being on the field. We wouldn't have been in that game without him. And Taron Johnson
looking good. Yeah, Taron Johnson's looking good this week. You're breaking up.
Going to be huge to get back.
Yeah. No, I mean,
I'm not worried until tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, it'll be interesting. Taron Johnson is definitely going to be a big boost between him and Bernard. That'll be obviously great to have the two of them back together when obviously Dorian Williams is running around with his hair on fire. It'll be interesting to see because, the injuries just never stop. And, I had talked about it before, like, when are we going to be whole? And I'm sick of the excuses and all this different type of stuff. So, like, I'm just trying to make sure that we can ever find a way to just have our whole team. Now, I understand it's the NFL. I understand that that's not realistic. Everybody's dealing with injuries, but it just sucks where it always just seems to be something going on. And I just want to see the offense and the defense whole. And it just seems like we can't get there. So we'll see. Ed Oliver will probably be out this week, though. And then hopefully, like you said, we can get Taron Johnson back. That'll be a big deal if we can. Now, as we transition, DT, when you look at this matchup, I had already spoke about it, but, the defense is so good for them that I think that it can cause problems. I'm wondering who you think would be the person to step up. I know that you said that James Cook, if he's out, let's assume that James Cook is out. We'll assume that Khalil Shakir plays. Am I just going to be proven, wrong that Shakir is the cog? He is the proverbial straw that makes this entire offense. I mean, 2 weeks we look like shit. He comes back and it's like a light switch. It just flips back on. If it does, great. And I'll be the first person to cheer the shout song every touchdown we get. I think it's a tall task. And I think that everybody keeps talking about Shakir, and not that he's not a great player or good to great player. My thing is that one player shouldn't make that much of a difference in respects to the offensive efficiency when supposedly it's everybody eats. And it just I don't know, man. It just something just doesn't add up. Where has Curtis Samuel still? Like, I still haven't, like, what are we doing?
Well, you said it. I mean, if he comes back and it is a light switch flipped, it'll be great. We'll take the dub, whatever. But it's not longevity. It's not longevity. That's not the true answer. It's not Khalil Shakir being in or out of the lineup is the detriment of if we win or lose a game. It can't be, and I don't believe it will be. But if he comes back, it's obviously going to help us. You said it right there. The two major things: Curtis Samuel, Dalton Kincaid. Where that if everybody eats, these dudes have to start getting going. Curtis Samuel, if he's hurt, then get him out of there. Yeah. I don't want him in the game catching 1 yard screen passes for 6 targets for no gain. Like,
he mysteriously popped up on the injury report for the first time
this year. Get him out of the lineup. We don't need to pretend he's not hurt and do this bullshit with him every week. That's starting to really piss me off. Like,
I know.
You look at all these Curtis Samuel highlights in Carolina, in Washington. He's catching bombs down the middle of the field.
Yeah, it doesn't look anything like this.
Can't get him past 5 yards for us. So if he's hurt, get him off the field. And if he's not hurt, let's stop doing what we're doing with him. Dalton Kincaid, got to be better. Got it. I get that teams are keen on him, whatnot. But if you're going to be, Dalton Kincaid's a receiver, James Cook's a receiver. No.
Matchup nightmare. Nightmare.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're making any nightmares out there.
We talk about layups all the time, giving people layups. And I just said it earlier in the show. If 1-7 gets unstoppable, it's because he has tempo and he's in a rhythm. And what a better way to get in a rhythm than hitting your tight end over the middle for 15 yards a pop, right?
That's right. So that's right.
It's Kincaid, it's Samuel. I would like Shakir to come back. I think Keon Coleman is breaking into himself. He will start being more and more of a weapon as things go by and as years go by, to be honest. But Curtis Samuel, if he's hurt, get him out. Let's see Shavers. Let's see KJ Hamler. Let's see somebody, but
Yeah,
not
true.
Curtis Samuel if he's hurt or start. And then we need Kincaid to start giving 1-7 layups to get in a tempo.
Yeah, and I think that I think you're absolutely right, and I think just a lot. I think a lot falls on Joe Brady's plate. And again, he doesn't pull the trigger, so I am keeping that in the back of my mind that he doesn't pull the trigger itself. But I do need whatever he's got cooked up, whatever he's got for answers. I need all your answers right now. This is for the division in respects to an early season game, a matchup on the road against a rival that they think that they could be just as good as you. The record says that they are just as good as you, damn near. So I think I need, whatever you got. If you got any tricks in your bag, pull them out. Not trick plays, because we know that you suck at those, but tricks. If you got any tricks in your bag, I need you to pull them out because, the way that they're using Samuel is unacceptable, quite honestly, to me, before the highest paid receiver on the team. I understand $8 million is not a lot of money. I get it. But it's unacceptable the way that they're using
Derrick
him.
Henry.
Yeah.
$8 million.
Yeah, I know. It's just funny how they're using him, and like you just talked about the Carolina. Any highlights you see, even from Washington days, this is not how he was used. I understand that he can run the ball. He's a former running back, Ohio State. I know all that shit. I know my college football as well. But man, this is not the NFL version of Curtis Samuel that we've seen at all. And it's almost like there's a mandate not to throw him anything but bubble screens. And now everybody is keying on them. Houston saw them coming a mile away. They weren't doing shit with them. He catches one ball for negative yards or whatever it was, and all those targets. It was just it's been horrible. It's been a little bit almost criminal what they've been doing to him. So I need Joe Brady to get his shit together as well. Now, as we transition, DT, before we begin to wrap up tonight and get the tailgate report, I know that the buzz that in the circles that I roll with, I don't know about your text groups, but in the circles that I roll with, especially on Twitter, shout out to my Twitter crew out there. They do like a little space like this, but it's all audio, so you can hop in and just kind of speak your mind and stuff like that. And boy, DT, the Bills Mafia in there, the guys that I roll with in there were unanimous with me that Brandon Beane has to do something. And that's the reason that I named the episode the way that I did, DT. And you always know that there's meaning behind the reasons why I named these episodes. But in my mind, DT, and I told all of them in that space that do not hold your breath, because of the fact that Brandon Beane, I feel like, tried to tell us. Sean McDermott, to a certain lesser extent, tried to tell us. When they traded Stephon Diggs, what was your first reaction, DT? Don't worry, I'll tell you for yourself. You said Brandon Beane's got something up his sleeve. And I said, okay, he better. Then nothing happened, did it, DT? Or no straight replacement for 14. So in my mind, I told everybody to not hold their breath. Reason being is that Brandon Beane wanted to reset this cap. That's why he takes on $61 million, 31 of which was for 14, just to get him out of the building. We're not going to rehash all that type of stuff. We're done with that now. However, because of the fact that he chose to do that this year, I think, DT, this is my opinion, and I'm firm in it. I believe now at this point in time that he just wants to ride it out because of the fact that he's already made that decision. And you know what? This is what I said I was going to do, and I'm just going to do it. And we got to swallow this medicine right now because it's going to be for the greater good of the future Buffalo Bills. My main problem, my number one problem with that whole theory from the beginning, from trading 14 to not replacing him, is that I don't want to waste Josh Allen's prime years. I said it in the offseason. You've said it before. I don't think that these are the type of years that we should be wasting because of the fact that we don't know when we're going to get back. Again, I raise my hand. I am dealing from a sense of fear because, again, 13 seconds is in the back of my mind. And I constantly daily think about, when I think about the Bills, that could have been our best chance. That's my personal Halloween nightmare, is that 13 seconds was our best chance. So throwing away one of his prime years is not on the cards for me. It's not on the menu for me. I don't agree with it at all. DT, these guys were going crazy saying trade for Adams or trade for Cooper, somebody said fucking trade for both, which obviously would never happen. Trade for somebody, an established receiver, or they're done with the season because Brandon Beane is obviously saying that he doesn't care and he's ready to punt on the year. I told them not hold their breath. I would love Devontae Adams to be in a Bills uniform, DT. I am not holding my breath. And as one of my best friends, I refuse to let you hold your fucking breath either. Don't hold your breath, DT. What do you think about the Bills and Brandon Beane right now?
Well, I think champions are judged not how they hit, how they react when they get hit and how they get back up, right? So in this case, yes, I was wrong in the fact that he had the ace up his sleeve and he was just going to be rolling with this. You were correct in that regard. But if you're making the decision to roll with this, then that has to be brought into the team in a phase, right? Like, okay, we are rolling with this. Let's see how it works. The past 2 weeks, it hasn't worked. So now we need to game plan and work in personnel or whatever we have to do to make what we have work. You can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. If this is what they're rolling with, we need to change up the game plan to make this as successful as it can be.
Okay.
We didn't know it wasn't going to work until these last 2 games.
True.
Okay.
That's
now
fair.
we do. Let's see if we can change up the game plan. Let's see if we get some different personnel in there. If KJ Hamler and Shavers get their shot. And then if we start seeing that, then I think, okay, then this team is looking for something else. And then the probability of a trade is a lot more is
A lot higher.
could be more available than
So you want them to exhaust all efforts.
I think
you want them to exhaust all efforts.
There's two things with that. One, the plan was to reset the cap, so bringing somebody in is going to negate that. And two, the pride of we let Stephon Diggs walk, and then we just go get another Stephon Diggs after a couple weeks, So like, I think that's the last thing.
Oh, that's what WGR was saying on the afternoon show.
That's the last thing Bean and McDermott want to do.
But why? How can you let your pride get in the way of 17's prime years? That's the only thing. I understand that point, and I've heard it on WGR this week that's just too much of a pivot. That they're not going to want to pivot after they just tried to sell everybody eats all summer. I understand the premise of the point. My thing is that how can you turn your back on 17's prime year? This is just bullshit. So, like if you got to follow your pride, then do it.
So if you are going to follow the pride, I don't want to see it in the fact of I'm not just trading for Devontae Adams. I want to see it in the fact of game planning different, getting different personnel in there, seeing different guys, seeing different looks. Okay, what can we make this work with? And that's what I think if you are going to stick with this, then it has to be on that side of things. And I will be, if it works, obviously I'm with it, but I would be a lot more respectful of it if they start changing game plans up to say, this is what we got, so we need to find a way to make what we have work. I mean, I'm taking Devontae Adams, Rob.
Cool.
I just don't think they're going to do it. I don't. But I do need, if they don't do it, I do need to see them changing things up in that regard of changing the game plan, changing things around, getting different looks to get 1-7 in a rhythm to get going. Because then it becomes completely unacceptable. You're wasting a year. You're doing all that bullshit, whatever you want to get into. But I think you're gonna see a difference in the team before you see a trade, like a difference in the way they play right now before you see the trade.
So that's what I was saying. That you want them to exhaust all efforts, or you expect them to try to exhaust all efforts. I
expect them to exhaust all efforts.
They moved the trade deadline back, so I think it's like right around Halloween. So they moved it back this year.
But if we're talking specifically Devontae Adams, it doesn't sound like we got till Halloween. Sounds like this shit's going down soon.
Soon, yeah. Somebody, I think one of his former teammates said on Kay Adams' show, like he said, weeks, not days. I don't know.
But then in that case, get him here tonight so we can play Monday.
Well, that could have been on Tuesday, and that's what the guys in the space were saying on Twitter. Like they wanted Brandon Beane on the phone, Monday, first thing Monday, and and we don't know if he wasn't on the phone. So I'll be fair in that regard. The thing that I just wanted to warn them, and I guess I don't have to warn you because you don't expect. I just don't see it. And I don't agree with the pride thing, but I do think that could be a big part of it. Not just necessarily pride, but also just like this is our fucking plan. And we're going to, like this is on Joe Brady to figure out. And this is on Josh Allen to figure out. Like we said, we're going to do this. We got him, quote unquote weapons. We got him a whole bunch of, Swiss Army knife guys, whatever the case may be, or guys that could do different things. Let's figure this out. If we got to put Keon Coleman in the slot, put him in the slot. Everybody coming out of the draft said that he was better fit out of the slot. I heard Steve Smith make a great point, and I reposted on Twitter this week about how he really needs to be in the slot to go up against slower linebackers and smaller DBs, and that could really unlock him. So fine, do whatever. Stop, throwing bubble routes to Curtis Samuel. Whatever you got to do, figure it out. My thing is that I just don't think that the Bills necessarily and Brandon Beane want to admit that this shit didn't work so quickly, and I think that would be a sign that they know that it didn't work so quickly. I personally, as a fan, who all I care about is a Lombardi just one. For me and my kids, all I care about is a Lombardi. So I don't care about your pride. And I definitely don't want to shove one of Josh Allen's prime years into a volcano. And that seems like how it's going right now. Again, We don't know the rest of the season. DT is absolutely right. I get on the couch. He talks me off the ledge almost every week, every season. So yes, there's plenty of fucking football left, DT. I know. I paid the lady at the front desk. I just, damn, man, like one of his prime years is just, this is not the time for experimentation shit. If you had to get 14 out of the building for whatever reason, for the maturity of Josh, for the betterment of the locker room, whatever reason you needed to, you had to replace him. Once they didn't, they tried to tell us. That's why I named the episode the way they did. They tried to tell us.
But we're a bounce away. We're a bounce and a play away from being 4-1 right now, with a chance to be 5-1 and a 3-game lead in the division.
I know.
It's not like we're 0-5. 0-5.
I know. That's right.
Either, right? So they're with winnable games coming up. They announced Bills had a tough schedule, but they have the easiest remaining schedule based on how the season's played out so far.
Sure.
So that you got to look at that too. And it's not a complete failure by any means yet, but
it has not looked good.
You got to be an idiot to know that this isn't sustainable.
Yeah, I agree. Now, as we begin to wrap up tonight, I really appreciate you tonight, DT, and all weeks, just sharing your time with us here. And I know the fans love you as well as that. And I know you're really excited about this. The Nickel City Crew Tailgate Report tonight, as every week, presented by Queen City Vintage. Head on over to Queen City Vintage. You can check them out on Instagram and Twitter. It's Queen_City_Vintage_716. Our buddy Nick is running a great site. And now the partnership is starting to bear fruit. We are about to have our first giveaway, and I know DT is really excited about it. DT, for me, the game itself was it was funny because my oldest two kings, Bobby and Nate, were coming back from Universal, so we sent them to Universal for like a joint birthday party, because it was Bobby's birthday September, Nate's is this month in October. So their mother and I sent them, and they went down there to Orlando. So I was at home. So they're coming back, and it's almost game time. I got a brisket because it was Houston, so I had a brisket on the grill, smoking, and Nate calls me from Bobby's phone like right before kickoff, and he's like, what's the stream, Dad? And this and that. So I sent him the stream, and he's like, it's not working, whatever. Now he is a true Bills Mafia member, and I know that is my baby. I have definitely baptized him in the Mafia, because now, as 1 o'clock starts to get closer, he's starting to get fucking aggravated. And he keeps calling back like, Dad, it's not working. It's not working. I can hear it in his voice. I'm like, I don't know what you want me to do. I'm like, where's your mother? Obviously she was driving, and they're driving back to Charlotte from Orlando. I'm like, where's your mother? Like, where's her phone? And she's yelling from the driver's seat, it's not working. The stream's not working. I'm like, oh my God, you're about to get on my nerves or whatever. I'm like, I don't know what you want me to say, Nate. I don't know what you want me to do. And then he's like, can we just FaceTime? And I was like, no problem, son. No problem. So ironically enough, so then Bobby's mad because they're using Bobby's phone, and he wants to obviously game and do stuff on his phone on that long drive back from Orlando. I kid you not. I had my phone right there on the ledge next to the TV, and I positioned it on the ledge where it was showing on the FaceTime. And me and Nate FaceTime the entire game together. And it was like I was watching it with him, even though he was in the car miles and miles away. So that was my tailgate report. I had a little brisket, some mashed potatoes, and I literally was at the house by myself, Dolo, and literally watching it with my son through FaceTime, because he is a Bills fanatic like his father, and I've ruined his life because he's all in. And he was by 1 o'clock, he was like, yo, dude, what the fuck is up? Like, this stream shit is not working. I'm like, man, okay, watch it with me on FaceTime. That's the perfect idea. So that's my tailgate report, man. Watch the game with my son.
Shout out Nate right there. Bobby, give him a break.
Animal.
Give him a break. You gotta watch ball. There's only 17 of them. You gotta watch them all. You gotta watch them all. So credit to Nate there. Good shit. So the first giveaway, we'll get into that. We'll be posting after this episode tonight. So Nickel City Crew, check out it'll be on Instagram. We'll put it on Twitter too. We'll do the details of the giveaway, what you need to do to enter. Got a nice, it looks like a crew neck and a sick custom Josh Allen shirt with some other things in this nice little care package Nick put together from Queen City Vintage. So
very nice.
Get on our Insta, get on our Twitter. You'll see how to enter. We'll announce the winner of this week's giveaway on next week's show, and we'll just keep doing that. It'll be a week staggered, for the rest of the year. So
awesome.
Lock in. But big tailgate report for me this week. A big tailgate report. This is my squad in Enterprise. I have a team of drivers
Okay.
mostly retired guys who
Okay.
move metal around for me.
Okay.
And last year, Noah, award listener of Nickel City Crew,
One of the
his
OGs.
dad is now retired and works
Okay.
with me on our driver team. Dan Ruggie, shout out. So they have a beautiful piece of property up on Lake Ontario. Nice rolling hills right on the lake. And he's like, let's have a Bills party. We had our first one last year, and
Right.
it had great response. So this was the week we did it again. Thought it would be a good game, get that fall October vibe. It was going to be good weather.
Sure.
So we had our enterprise driver Bills watch party.
That's awesome. That's
And
sweet. That's
it
what's
was
up.
dope. It was, other than the game, it was a great time.
Yeah.
It's a little ride from the city, about 40 minutes up north, or as far as you
Okay.
can go till you hit the water.
I was going to say in Canada though.
Nope, right on
American side.
in Lewiston area, Niagara
Okay.
Falls area, and that's this side. So
Got it.
got up there early. Wanted to watch some of that, London game at 9:00. So I got loaded up the TV from Living Room Junior, and
There
that
you
was
go.
one of the outdoor viewing areas. And they got a beautiful barn that's all redone and really nice.
Oh, nice.
Got the tent set up, got the chairs set up. Watched that first game, and then the crew started coming in. Everybody started flowing in, and get to meet everybody's wives, and
Sure.
and just see them outside of work. So
Sure.
it was a really cool thing. Dan hosted great as always. The Rougies do it right up there. Have never had a bad time up at the lake. We did. Noah did a great barbecue pulled pork on the Traeger. That was what we had to eat. We had some pizza. We had a ton of snacks.
Nice.
Drinks were flowing. It was a good time. The game started. It was a little rough, 3 points at halftime. Everyone was like, "Oh, I don't know, man.
17-3.
I don't know." But then, as we went down, got some lake air in us, came back, was a good end of the game, and everybody had a really good time. So
that's what's up.
Shout out Noah for a great cook and having your family, and now your dad works with us, and it was a great time up there. So
that's awesome.
Big kudos up there. Can't wait to do it again next year. It gets bigger and bigger every year, and it was a great time. People were talking. We were shouting out Nickel City Crew. People loved it. We got some extra listeners tonight. While we're at it, I'll talk to you a little more post show about this, but got to shout out some new fans, Nikki and Drew down in the Charlotte area tonight.
Word.
Heard that, somehow knew that, hey, somebody from Charlotte has this podcast about the Bills. They live down there. Let's get it rolling.
No way. No shit.
And they were listening as well. So I'll talk to you a little more about that post show. But good to hear people on. Great tailgate report. Our creative director Olivia just texted us. The giveaway post is up. So we got to get it on Twitter, I think, too. But get on Insta, get on Twitter, go get your Queen City Vintage tailgate report, get in the giveaway. We're going to be giving this up every week. And I love the tailgate report, man. I love it.
Shit, man. I mean, that's hot, man. I like that. I love that tailgate report. That was way better than mine, but it was. I mean, that's really cool, man. I'm really happy that you guys had a great time. And again, shout out to Noah and his dad for hosting. And we do appreciate that. That's what's up. I'm glad that you guys all got a chance to get together, like you said, let your hair down and outside of work, so you get a chance to just chill and relax. And that is always a good feeling for sure. So I'm glad that the weather turned out well as well up there for you guys. I mean, DT, it's crazy. We talked about it earlier in the season. Mafia equals family, Bills equal family, and that's so true. And we just love it. And love making the connections and just the people. Everybody that I meet now, I'm like, let's check out Nickel City Crew. Check out Nickel City Crew. Everybody that I see, because I wear Bills shit everywhere, and everybody's always a Bills fan. I mean, Charlotte has so many Western New Yorkers down here, so it's hard to turn around 3 times without seeing somebody from Buffalo. So I get noticed all the time because of my car, and then because of the fact I'm always wearing Bills shit. So I love interacting with people and letting them know about the crew. But you're a fan favorite. I know that. I mean, people that I know that are down here that listen, like you, like they can give a damn about me. Like they love DT. Like, man, I love that guy. Don't truck. I love that guy TT. This and that. I'm like, okay, no problem. I'm like, I'm just the host making all this shit go. But yeah, I mean, he's the man. He's Dump Truck, and I've got to get up with Del Reed because I've got a great concept for a shirt. And if they're going to be supporting a great cause, I want to help out. And I got a great concept for the shirt, and it's not going to have shit to do with me. It's all, I mean, you're the star of the show. It's DT. I love it, man. I love it. Would have it no other way, man. Dump Truck. I would have it no other way, man. As we wrap up tonight, I'm looking forward to Monday. honestly, DT, because I love chances to see who we are. And I think that the reason that I named the episode the way that I did it is definitely some tongue in cheek, but it's also true. I think that overall, I think that they thought that they had to take it's very similar to when McDermott got here. How about that? Everybody in Bills Mafia can relate to that. They didn't think they were going to the damn playoffs that year. They were surprised by it. How did we know that they were surprised by the start of the team? Because they traded for Kelvin Benjamin halfway through the year, his fat ass. You know what I mean? And they traded for him because they were like, damn, we're winning some games. We might have a chance to have some momentum. They had already did the shedding. They had already cut, Darius. They had already got rid of those guys, that they didn't want on the team anymore. The malcontents, the Sammy Watkins, whoever they thought that they deemed didn't fit, they got rid of. Same thing with Diggs. Like, they got rid of the guys that they didn't think fit, and then they said, okay, we're going to sit here and take our medicine. What happened? They lucked up on some wins, and then all of a sudden they wanted to maximize and be competitive. I would love if they would pivot if this continues to not work, especially after Sunday, and pivot before the trade deadline comes up. And I just won't hold my breath on it, DT. I think that's where I'm gonna stand on that. I think that they are prepared to take their medicine this year. I think it's a mistake. I think it's a big mistake because of the fact that Josh Allen's in his prime, but there's not much obviously I can do about it. So I if it doesn't work, I'd love to see them pivot, but I'm just not going to hold my breath on it. That's all.
Well, hey, let's get Monday night a chance to go 4-2, 2 games up in what's turning out to be a shit division.
That's right.
With the next games after that, a Tennessee game at home, at Seahawks, Dolphins going to be without Tua, at Indianapolis, like some winnable games coming up you're back to the Thanksgiving break with, into that bye week with, you could be 4 or 5 games over 500 at that point. So I'm confident. I think, I'm desperate for them to get right and get back. And, I think they're not in a closed bubble. They see the game just like we did. They know that was unacceptable the last 2 weeks. And I hope it's taken personal and, we do something about it Monday night, 8:15.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm down with that, man. As always, I really appreciate everybody out tonight. Almost 700 people watching on a Friday night. TGIF, you've got 1,000 other things that you could be doing. So we really do appreciate the support. Your support really makes the show go, because I'm going to be thinking about the Bills regardless if I did the show or not. The same thing with DT. We'd be talking about the Bills. We love interacting with you also. Definitely hit up that giveaway. We'd love to interact with more of you. Again, shout out, like you said, DT, to our creative director, Olivia Nagel. She's a beast. She comes up with the best songs. She puts them perfectly, posts them like within no time. She's prompt.
She already
posted the damn giveaway. She's a motherfucking beast. Like, she's good. She does stuff that I have no idea because I'm so social media illiterate. So we really appreciate her. So definitely check out my Nickel City Crew's Twitter, Instagram. I guess the Instagram is already up. Join the giveaway. Spread the word about the crew. All we do here is just keep it real. We try to keep a level head. At least DT tries to keep me on a level head because I'm always ready to crash out. But hook us up, show some love, and we'll show some love back your way with some cool merch. So again, shout out to Queen City Vintage. Shout out to 26 Shirts, who always helps us and presents these shows. Shout out to Buffalo Fanbase, the official Bills Mafia podcast network that we simulcast on. DT, I mean, that's it, man, for me, man. It's ready to start enjoying Friday, man. I got Nate's soccer game coming up here pretty soon, late night under the lights, and I'm gonna shut it down for the night, man. Got soccer early tomorrow morning, football tomorrow. I'm getting ready to just hit cruise control in a minute, man. So enjoy your night, man. Enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, Nickel City Crew, have a great weekend. I'm pumped up now. We aren't ashamed to be Bills fans anymore. The drought's over. We're not ashamed to be Bills fans anymore.
We get
pumped up for game days. I'm pumped for Monday. Let's watch everything play out all weekend. No stress. Monday night, get it done. 4-2. Right. Go Bills.
Please, out there, spread love, not hate. These were my Bills thoughts said out loud. Hit them with a Go Bills one more time, DT. Go Bills.
4-2. Go Bills.
I love it. Love it.